Anger, guilt, grief, you name it. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says Deputy Blaine Lane was just 21 years old and had been on the road patrol for just 8.5 months. Polk Sheriff Grady Judd says Deputy Lane was killed when he and 3 other deputies went to serve an arrest warrant at a mobile home on Foxtown South in Polk City. The suspect, 46-year-old Cheryl Williams, was armed with what investigators would only find out later was a BB gun. Still, when she pointed it at deputies, they shot Williams, striking her twice. But one of the 6 bullets fired went through a wall, accidentally striking Deputy Lane, who was standing outside. At first, they thought it was a shoulder wound, but the bullet had pierced his chest. A short time later, he was pronounced dead at Lakeland Regional.
He went out simply to serve a warrant. Something we do hundreds of times a day. And this time, there were horrible ending to this. And it didn't have to happen.
A few hours later, a long police procession escorted Deputy Lane's body from the hospital to the medical examiner's office here in Winter Haven. Sheriff Judd describes Lane as a father of a 3-year-old, eager, brilliant, and careful when doing his job. Sheriff Judd says that the woman who they had gone to arrest, Cheryl Williams, is recovering at Lakeland Regional Medical Center. She now faces 2nd-degree felony murder charges. Deputy Lane's funeral is being planned for sometime next week. In Winter Haven, Eric Lasser, 10 Tampa Bay.
Sheriff Judd said the other deputies involved in today's shooting are devastated by what happened. There is an independent investigation underway. Tonight, a 48-year-old is behind bars for allegedly killing a man with 1 punch. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office says that man was found lying in the parking lot of a Chevron gas station in Ruskin. Investigators say Rodolfo Regino Jr. punched him in the face, causing him to fall backward onto the pavement. This happened on September 27th. He's facing several charges, including manslaughter. Now we want to get to the latest developments coming out of Southwest Florida, where this video on your screen shows just a fraction of the damaging impacts Hurricane Ian left on places like Fort Myers and Sanibel Island. 10 Tampa Bay anchors Dave Wagner and Courtney Robinson will be in Lee County today and tomorrow to bring you the latest updates from local leaders, emergency operations officials, and community members at the heart of all of this disaster. Dave and Courtney, what are you seeing out there?
Carolina, absolute devastation. We are just a block away from the Caloosahatchee River, which is over this way. These boats were once in the river. They have been launched onto land, some of them 70 feet long. There has been some looting overnight, but I can tell you the underlying theme here is there's been a whole lot of good and a lot of people helping out.
Yeah, and you know, you have to keep in mind that these were homes for people. We know that because we can see inside that these were where people lived. In fact, just to give you background, I lived a block from here, and I would often talk with people who lived in these marinas, and driving in, it's just, you start to feel, I can only imagine what these people are feeling right now. This community, the landscape has changed, but I can tell you the heart of this community has not changed, and they have really come together. You're seeing, you know, some of the devastation, but you're also seeing, you know, the community, families, friends, neighbors, joining each other once one house is finished, going to the next and trying to do everything that they can.
Yeah, the work here is not going to end for weeks, months, maybe not even years. It definitely has changed the fabric of this community.
And Governor Ron DeSantis, along with the Lee County Sheriff, they spoke in Fort Myers just a few hours ago, actually not far from here. They were talking at the Lakes Park Regional Library, where they were talking about disaster centers opening, but also, of course, announcing that devastating news that 55 people have died in Lee County alone. And according to the Florida Medical Examiners Commission, 68 people died in our state related to Hurricane Ian.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
It is. And Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marcino says they are trying to also identify 9 bodies as its deputies continue 12-hour shifts to support their community, with FPL restoring now 70% of customer power in the county. Officials say they are working to bring neighbors a temporary ferry just to get to Sanibel and Captiva Islands.
People want to get back. They want to see their homes. They want to see if they have a home. They want to grab a photo album. Things that cannot be replaced by insurance or money. We want to make sure we give people, when it's safe, the first second in safety chance to do that.
Yeah, the key word the sheriff used there is safety. When driving in flooded areas, it can be easy to get stuck and sometimes even worse. Florida Highway Patrol says 2 people died in Hardee County after driving their SUV into flooded waters. This happened on September 30th in the area of Sweetwater Road and Charlie Creek Bridge. FHP says only 1 of the 3 was found alive.
And today, Governor Ron DeSantis also announced, as I mentioned a minute ago, the opening of the first disaster recovery center for Floridians impacted by Hurricane Ian. Open daily from 9 in the morning to 6 o'clock at Lakes Regional Library right here in Fort Myers. In fact, a couple pulled in and said, where can we find this center? Because we need the resources that they have there for people and businesses.
We have here at the DRC 5 of Elon Musk's Starlink devices. You're able to do the internet, you can make phone calls, text message, all that will be here. The Department of Emergency Management is working to establish additional disaster recovery centers in Southwest Florida by the end of the week.
This comes as the governor has just activated the Florida Small Business Emergency Bridge Loan Program. This will make $50 million available to provide short-term, zero-interest loans to businesses impacted physically or economically. Applicants have until December 2nd to apply at floridajobs.org/EBL or until all funds are used up.
Yeah, there are some amazing stories here. A father and daughter reunion, one of them for days after Hurricane Ian. Heather Ward didn't know if her father survived the storm. He rode out the storm on Fort Myers Beach.
You just can't imagine the angst of not knowing where your father is. 10 Tampa Bay's Megan Myers joins us now. And Megan, you're from this community and you spent the day catching up with this father and daughter. I can only imagine how many tears were flowing.
I mean, honestly, just seeing the way that the grandchild acted with him was just incredible. I mean, hugs for days, and you could just see the tears in that woman's eyes. And she has social media and the kindness of a stranger to thank for all of this. And unfortunately, so many people are in the exact same boat that she was in for days, not able to contact her loved ones. She says that she tried contacting her dad and couldn't get a hold of him. The last time she was able to talk to him on the phone was actually as the storm was hitting, and then his cell phone died. So obviously a very, very scary couple of days for her. She posted his photo to social media asking if anyone had seen him around Fort Myers Beach. Unfortunately, she got a lot of prayers, but no one could confirm that they had seen him. And that's when a stranger ended up saying, hey, I can make my way out to Fort Myers Beach and I can go look for your dad. And it was just an incredible act of kindness.
I messaged her with the last address that I knew my dad was at. She called me and she said she was crying, I could tell. And she said, Heather, I have your dad, he's okay.
Wow, just amazing. I mean, it really does underscore the power of social media, and it also underscores people's desperation. In this case, things were okay, but in so many other cases, people are wondering and waiting.
So many people, I mean, this man, he had a phone with him, but it wasn't working.
Right.
So in those cases, there's so many people like that. They've either lost everything, their home's destroyed, their phone was underwater. And I mean, just the kindness of this woman, I mean, this family is going to forever be thankful for her. And I can't even imagine what she felt like getting that phone call saying, hey, I have your dad, after waiting for days. I mean, it's just incredible, and they're so thankful, and just seeing them together today was amazing.
We're so thankful that they're back together. Unfortunately, we do know that other families are not experiencing that, but for families in Charlotte and Lee County, they're also experiencing just, the devastation that we've talked about, losing their homes to the storm, and losing their roofs as well. There's a program that's called Operation Blue Roof from the Army Corps of Engineers. It offers free temporary repairs for homes less than 50% damage. A temporary blue covering with fiber reinforced sheeting will be installed until more permanent repairs can be made. Homeowners, they can sign up for this for free. It's online. It's called blueroof.us. You see that right there on your screen. The deadline to do that, October 23rd.
All right, more countywide services coming back to Charlotte County today. Around 1 o'clock, officials announced transit operations are now resuming again, which is great for people around here.
Charlotte County Transit is a shared ride service service that reaches surrounding areas, including the Lake Susie area in DeSoto County. Reservations, they are available. They are on a first come, first served basis.
All water services should be back as well. People really need water around here, and this is a good thing. County spokesperson says water pressure might be lower than normal, but regardless, you're asked to limit your usage and keep in mind, boil your water until further notice. It's not safe to drink right now.
Yeah, and of course, even finding restrooms in the area, not easy either, just all around. Of course, we are here. We're going to be here with you through the rest of this, and we're going to be here tomorrow as well.
All right, send it back to Caroline in the studio now.
All right, Dave, thank you. We'll check back in with you guys in a few minutes. Let's talk about our local schools. Sarasota Schools now has a plan to reopen campuses after damage from Hurricane Ian. Most schools will open Monday, October 10th. 10 other schools located in the southern part of the county won't reopen until the following Monday. School leaders said they were hit harder by the storm and need more time for repairs, including Heron Creek Middle and Northport High School. Staff will continue recovery efforts this week, including assessing for the threat of mold.
When in doubt, cut it out, right? So we're cutting drywall where we're not sure, that's all coming out. And so again, safety and security of our students is absolutely at the utmost importance. So if we are on that line of we're not sure, it gets cut out, gets discarded, new goes in.
The county's 2 remaining school shelters at Venice High School and Tatum Ridge Elementary will close Friday so they can be cleaned ahead of reopening to students on Monday.
Now, the Red Cross needs more volunteers for Hurricane Ian relief efforts. We will be back in just a few minutes live here from Fort Myers with the specific skill that they are asking of you.
Right now, we are live in Fort Myers, just one of the many locations in Florida that is sending the Red Cross in. Volunteers, they are coming to help and relief efforts from all parts of the country, really.
And they are so needed, but specifically, they really need individuals who are native Spanish speakers, who speak Spanish fluently to join them. They say that volunteers who are fluent can help individuals whose native language is Spanish feel more comfortable as they assist.
According to the 2020 U.S. Census, 1 in every 4 Lee County residents is Hispanic, and that's why the need is so great right now. Across the state, right now the Red Cross has dozens of volunteers deployed. They believe that they may need to send out volunteers across the state for months.
We're already checking availability for volunteers through Christmas, knowing that there's a likelihood that we're going to have a significant presence on the ground for a long time. Obviously, in addition to the chapters that are based in Florida that will be there for the years to come.
There's no doubt it's going to be a long time before things are back on track in Southwest Florida, but that clear communication between volunteers and victims may make a huge difference.
Yeah, in fact, when I stopped at a gas station in Fort Myers, right before I came to our location where we're here on West 1st Street near downtown, an individual came up to me and asked if I spoke Spanish. I speak very little, but I was able to help him understand just a tiny bit because he was, trying to find some assistance.
Yeah, there's a lot of need here right now and a lot of help as well, which is a tremendous thing. It's a hopeful place and a place that's been badly hurt.
A lot to do, and we are going to send it back to Natalie Ferrari, our meteorologist in the studio. And Natalie, it feels a little bit cooler with a breeze right now, but it is hot, and these people are working around the clock to save their homes.
Yeah, a lot of folks working nonstop from morning to night easily, and with temperatures climbing into those mid-80s, it still does get pretty warm out there, especially in that direct sunshine. We still have 2 months of hurricane season to go. I know that's not something we want to hear, as well as the fact that there's 2 areas of interest that we're keeping a very close eye on, one of which is several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands. Another one is Tropical Depression 12. You heard me right. As of 5 o'clock this afternoon, the National Hurricane Center went ahead and issued a tropical depression advisory for the eastern portions of the Atlantic. The good news, this is going to be the shortest lived storm we have seen, at least for this week, thankfully. We'll see this actually make it to a tropical storm status. The next name on the list is Julia, so you'll likely hear about Tropical Storm Julia later this week. But again, by the end of this week, it is likely going to turn post-tropical very quickly, and it's staying well away from the United States. Then we have this area of disorganized thunderstorm activity. The hurricane hunters just got back from investigating this system. It's, again, just a few hundred miles east of the Windward Islands. Disorganized, battling a little bit of shear, and there isn't a closed area of circulation, so no real organization with it, but there is a high 70% chance by the end of the week we could be talking about our next depression or maybe even a tropical storm as it makes its way into the central portions of the Caribbean. So a lot of models do take this across the Caribbean. I know that gets a little daunting to see, especially coming off the heels of Ian, which did the exact same thing. But I will tell you, most models are actually keeping this through the southern Caribbean through the week ahead and into this weekend, actually trying to get it closer to Central America, maybe even the southern Yucatan Peninsula, but well away from the Gulf of Mexico. And that is what we want to hear. As mentioned, the next two names on the list, Julia and Carl. I think Julia will be the one in the eastern Atlantic. Carl could end up becoming the one that's entering the Caribbean later this week. We'll, of course, keep you updated along the way. If anything, you can actually thank these high pressure systems that keep scooting across the country and throwing these down. Those cold fronts, they may not be very impressive, but what they are doing is bringing in reinforcing shot of cooler air, drier air at that, and that allows those mornings to feel so comfortable. I mean, well below normal for this time of year, and daytime highs only made it to 83 when the normal for this time of year is 88. Live view from our Mahaffey Theater weather camera, plenty of sunshine. You know, there's been a few partly cloudy skies still holding on tightly. Dew points in the 60s. Usually when we get those in the 50s, that is real nice, real comfortable, and we're going to be flirting or trending that way through across much of the region as that drier air continues to sink in from the north. So a lot of dew points right now in the 60s, but give it some time. It will stay more so into those 50s ahead. That means our air temperatures will actually feel a little bit more comfortable. Right now we're seeing a lot of upper 70s, lower 80s on the map. We'll see that gradually cool down going into the 60s overnight through tomorrow morning. And I do think tomorrow morning will be a beautiful start, even through tonight and going into your Wednesday. The middle of the week, you'll notice a slight warming trend. You know, drier air tends to heat up just a little quicker, but don't expect a drastic warm up. I mean, we're talking about highs in the mid 80s, abundant sunshine and moisture just barely trying to sneak back in next week.
Now, this is 10 Tampa Bay Sports.
It is remarkable. It just feels like it just ended. But I think that's been a blend of probably the last 3 years. And but trust me, we love it.
With everything that's been happening in our area the past week, the Lightning have been moving in silence, trudging through the preseason, but their matchup with the Rangers to kick off the NHL slate of games is exactly 1 week away. They'll play against the Panthers in Sunrise on Thursday and then host their only exhibition contest on Saturday against the same team. The Bolts are 0-3 right now, losing by a combined 14-2 score. I'm not going to say that's alarming because the preseason doesn't matter, but it would be nice to get in some sort of groove before getting into the real deal. I do want to mention 10 Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and our radio partners, the Dove, the Eagle, and Magic 94.9 are teaming up for Florida together. We've made it easy for you to help by all the people impacted by Hurricane Ian. To donate, just scan the QR code to your screen. Monetary donations will go to the Lightning Foundation, which will make grants to local relief groups working hard in the disaster zone. We also have the link on our website at 10tampabay.com. The Bolts are also auctioning off a bunch of merchandise to experiences starting October 8th to raise even more funds. And one of those special bids is a dinner for two with Rob Gronkowski. Tom Brady hasn't been able to bring him back. Maybe you can. It is clear this offense is missing that electric threat at tight end. They also might be missing the Gronk replacement for a little bit longer after Cameron Brate has entered concussion protocol. Through 4 games, Brate has 100 yards on 11 catches. The tight ends as a whole have 17 grabs for 164 yards. That's not on pace to match Gronk's numbers from last year. And remember, he pretty much missed 6 games. So we'll continue to follow that. As for the Rays, they'll play in Boston again tonight. Results don't matter at this point, though. It's certainly encouraging to see Wander Franco smack the cover off the ball. Since returning from the IL, he's hitting .326. We'll be right back.
First Lady Casey DeSantis has been busy this past week spearheading the Florida Disaster Fund, which Governor Ron DeSantis says has now raised $32.8 million for Hurricane Ian recovery efforts. Casey DeSantis visited a state veterans nursing home in Port Charlotte today and met with those who weathered the storm there. Not only that, but the First Lady was also in Lee County yesterday, distributing meals and meeting with first responders. Before we let you go, our 10 Tampa Bay anchors Dave Wagner and Courtney Robinson will continue to bring you live coverage from Lee County at noon and 5 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. The CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you back here at 11 for Nightside.